Hiya Tens, welcome back. We're doing our last exercise of the chapter, and this is solving quadratic equations using a thing called the quadratic formula. I'm going to let you copy down the notes, the 2 pages first, and then I'll start talking. Alrighty, good job. Okay, so the quadratic formula. You can use this method to solve any quadratic equation you want. But in a test, if it says solve by using the quadratic formula, you must use this method. Same as if it said solve by completing the square. You must use that method that it tells you to do. But here's the quadratic formula. Now it looks complicated, but I'll go through it and it's not that bad. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, now the key to this is you need to rearrange or make sure your quadratic equation is in this form. So you've got the x squared, and then the x term, and then the constant, and it equals 0 on the other side. And the coefficient of x squared is a. That's the value of a that we're going to use. The coefficient of x is our b value, and the value of the constant is our c value. So that's where we get our a, b, and c from, and we substitute those values into this formula. And it just gives us our values. Especially if you leave it in exact value, this will do that because this gives us a square root answer. And that's all I said there. So, before we actually do that, there's this, if you notice a bit under the square root, it says b squared minus 4ac. Now this bit here is kind of important. So over here I'm going to talk about it. That's called the discriminant, and its symbol is a little triangle we use for that. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Now the reason why that's important, let's just start off, let's just go to here. The square root of 100, hopefully if you remember, the square root of 100 is not just 10, it's positive 10 and also negative 10. Because negative 10 squared is positive 100, positive 10 squared is positive 100. So root 100 is plus or minus 10, so there are 2 solutions for that. Square root of 0 is just 0. So that's the only possibility, so there's one solution. And square root negative 100, no, the answer is not negative 10, there are no solutions for that. So you cannot get the square root of a negative number. So I said there, 2 solutions, 1 solution and no solutions. So therefore, if the discriminant is positive, because remember, in the quadratic formula, it's the square root of the discriminant. So if that is positive, we know there are 2 solutions to our equation. If the discriminant is equal to 0, we know there's only one solution. It's not necessarily 0, it could be any number, but there's one solution. And if the discriminant is negative, then there are no solutions. You cannot work it out. So this is very important. So we'll move over to our questions over here. So you can copy it down as I do it. The first question says, determine the number of solutions. So it is not saying, what is the value of x? We don't want to solve the equation. It just says, in this equation, how many solutions are there? So the answer is either there's 2, there's 1, or there's none. So, how do we do it? We use a discriminant. I'm going to write down the discriminant first. Discriminant equals b squared minus 4ac. Now before we actually work it out, I need to know what is a, b, and c. So what is x squared? It's really 1x squared. So the value of a is 1. The value of b is 5, and the value of c is negative 3. Be careful, it's a negative there. So there's my a, b, and c value. So all I do is I substitute them into here. So b squared, 5 squared is 25, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 3. So you've got to be careful when you solve this. We've got 25. Now look, negative and a negative, we're going to make it positive. 4 times 3 is 12, so we get 25 plus 12 is 37. So, since the discriminant is 37, it's a positive value, therefore, there are 2 solutions. Okay, does that make sense? Because the discriminant is a positive value. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a positive value, you know there are 2 solutions. It didn't ask for those solutions, it just said how many are there. So you stop there, you've answered the question. So let's go to the next one. 2x squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. So again, I'll start off a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 3, and c is equal to 4. Write down the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Running out of room here, but that's okay. B squared, be careful, minus 3 squared is positive 9. Now we've got minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is 4. So 9, and there's only one negative, so it's a negative. 4 2s are 8, 4 8s are 32. So 9 minus 32, what's that everyone? Negative 23. Okay, so our discriminant is negative. Negative 23. So what does that mean? You say here, therefore, there are no solutions. So there are no solutions to this equation because the discriminant is negative. And we'll quickly do the last one. We've got a is equal to 1, b is equal to 6, c is equal to 9. Okay, so we do the same thing. Discriminant b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 36, minus 4, lots of 1, lots of 9, and we get 4 9s are 36, so the discriminant is equal to 0. What does that mean? You say, therefore, there is one solution. One solution, whoops. Excellent. And that is a question, if you get how many solutions, you can save time by just working out the discriminant. Okay. Let's move on over here. So sometimes it says find the actual solutions, and it says exact solutions. That means in exact form. So in other words, we're going to leave it as a square root in the answer. Okay, so this time we're going to have to use a whole formula. But again, we start off with A, B and C. A is 1, B is 5, and C is 3. Alright, so eventually you'll get to know this formula, but it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, now I have a certain way that I like to do this. I start off negative b. b is 5, so it's negative 5. And then I go plus or minus, because remember there's two values when you work out the square root. Okay, b squared. I like to do all this bit. Okay, so b squared is 25. Minus 4ac, 4 times 1 times 3. And it's over 2a, 2 times 1 is 2. So all I've done is substitute the values in. So now I'd like to simplify this under the square root bit. So 25 minus 4 times 3 is 12. That's all I did for that step. Minus 5 plus or minus. 25 minus 12 is 13. Over 2. And there's our answer. We can leave it like that because that's in exact form, root 13. If it said find the answer to 1 or 2 decimal places, then you put this into your calculator. Remember there's 2 answers. So really, in your calculator you put in minus 5 plus root 13 and then divide it by 2 and get an answer. And then you do the same, minus 5 minus root 13 over 2 and you get an answer. So there's 2 separate answers because it's plus or minus. But in exact form, you can just leave it like that. Okay, let's do the last one. So this question here, what do you notice about it? This time it's not written in the right format. Firstly, the other side doesn't equal 0, and it's not in x squared, and then an x, and then a number. So to get rid of the 2x, we multiply 2x to both sides. Hopefully you know how to do this, they cancel. And here we've got 2x squared, and then it equals 3x plus 4. Now I'm going to bring everything to the side with x squared. So I've got 2x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now I've got it in the right form, I can write down my a, b and c. So a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 3, and c is equal to negative 4. Now what do? I write down my formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Always write the formula first. Don't skip steps. If you skip steps, you're more likely to make a mistake. Negative b. b is negative 3. So negative 3 makes it a positive 3. Plus or minus. B squared minus 3 squared is 9. I skip that. I don't write minus 3 squared. I'm more likely to make a mistake. So I put down 9, and then I write down minus 4 times AC times 2 times negative 4 over 2a, which is 4. So substitute all those values in. Alright, so 3 plus or minus. Now I like to neatly split up under the square root. So I've got 9 minus and a minus make a plus. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 8s are 32 over 4. And I get 3 plus or minus 32 plus 9 is 41. So root 41 over 4. And there's my value, there's my two answers as an exact value. You've got 3 plus root 41 over 4 and 3 minus root 41 over 4. Leave it like that, you've got full marks. Great job. And here's our exercise. Exercise 5I. 1 to 4, do every second. 5 to 9, the worded questions. Really try hard on those. Spend a bit of time on them. Then once you've done that, we've finished our chapter. So have a go at the chapter review. And I believe this test is going to be an online Cambridge test. So once you've done the chapter review, you can do a practice revision test online, and then we'll do our actual test as well. Great job everyone. Don't forget, smash the like button.